What's going on, YouTube? It is your girl, Lauren Finesse, and we are back. Not on camera today. It has been so busy and hectic at work, and you guys already know that we're on hiatus with Love and Marriage Huntsville, which that'll be back in a couple weeks. But I did want to come and show y'all this mess, okay? I've been fighting for my life in the comments on Instagram today with this story. But before we get into this story, please go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know you stopped by. Share this video. And yeah, come back because we got some more stuff lined up. I know I've been on a little hiatus, okay? So don't hold it against me. Don't judge me. Things have been very, very busy, and I've been locked in with my fitness and locked in with work. So y'all just continue to ride with me and vibe with me, okay? Let's get it. So like I mentioned, I've been fighting for my life in these comments. So earlier today, Bleacher Report posted this story about how Michael Phelps is, pushing for a one and done ban for anyone who's caught doping or using PEDs, right? Performance enhancement drugs. Now, listen, let's just state the obvious because I'm so confused why people are lost on the context. So let me start with the obvious to get like everyone in the right frame of mind. One, I respect Michael Phelps. Okay, let's start there. He is a decorated Olympian, and he has done a lot for the sport. And so I have nothing against him. He's an Olympian as he should be, right? So let's start there. Secondly, I am against cheating. I am against anyone that wants to use PEDs in order to get ahead of people who are simply working hard. Okay, so I'm also not advocating for people to cheat, especially in Olympic sports. So that's not at all where I'm coming from with the point that I want to make. But the problem I'm having with Mr. Phelps, okay, and so here's my comment here. So I left a comment and I said, not Mr. DUI, not Mr. Weed and DUI, right? Like not him being the person wanting to, have a one and done policy when this man has had so many chances, okay? So let's take a step back and let's dive, okay? So Michael Phelps, we all know, or if you don't know, there was some controversy around his name and his performance back in, I think it was like 2009, right? He got caught smoking weed. There was like a picture of him smoking weed and then they tested him, whatever. He was smoking weed, y'all. Okay, listen, I understand that weed is not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. However, in 2009, it wasn't legal in as many states and around the world as it is in present day. So in 2009, when this happened, he lost some sponsorships and he was suspended from the Olympic team. Okay. And I believe he came out later and he gave a sob story about, he was depressed and he had mental issues. Well, let me not even say sob story, okay, because I do believe that he had things going on in his life, right? Whether it was recreation or not, he had things going on in his life. And that's why, he was saying he was smoking weed. Now, I'm sure being a professional athlete is one thing, but being an Olympic professional athlete, it comes with a lot of pressures. So him smoking weed and, maybe feeling the pressures of life and being young and being, a world Olympic champion, gold medalist, that comes with a lot of pressures, right? So he gets caught smoking weed. He loses like sponsorships with like Kellogg. They had him on like the Kellogg box or like the Wheaties box. And I think the Olympic team, they suspended him, the USA men's team. They suspended him for like 6 months, right? This was in 2009. Fast forward to 2014. And guess what? Michael Phelps get a DUI. He gets a DUI. He's speeding. He's under the influence and he's arrested, right? He's put on probation for 18 months. And at that time, here he comes again. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going through a lot. There was an article that was put out that he was saying, like he kind of felt the gravity of the situation and that, he wanted to end his life after the DUI because it was just a lot. And I imagine so, right? So this was in 2014. He gets 18 months probation. He has to check himself into a treatment center. Here's the thing. In 2015, he left the treatment center because I think his DUI was like in September of 2014. So he leaves the treatment center in 2015 early, right? He left. He didn't complete it. Okay, to my knowledge, from what I saw, he didn't complete it. He left the treatment center. And then in 2016, he participated in the Olympics in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. That was in 2016. Now, before I go any further with that, I want to note that he was also arrested for a DUI in 2004. So this was his second DUI. So now let's kind of bring this back full circle. The problem I'm having with Michael Phelps being the messenger and trying to have a firm stance about a one and done is ridiculous. Like, his privilege slip is showing, okay? Because, sir, you were caught smoking weed, lost sponsorships, got suspended from the Olympic team for 6 months. Then they let you back on the team, right? You were back in the moves and grooves. Then you turn around and, 5 years later, you get arrested for your second DUI. And at that time, you also were suspended again, right? And within less than 2 years, you were invited to the Olympics. So, sir, how many chances did you get? For you to sit up here and say, oh, one and done, sir, you got multiple chances. You dropped the ball multiple times. And listen, life is crazy. Life is hectic. People deserve second chances. You're actually a repeat offender. You're a rule breaker. So the audacity for you to come and say one and done should be implemented for doping. Now, listen, again, right message, wrong messenger. And so I had people literally, this is the crazy part, y'all. So most of the people that were being combative with me in the comments were Black men. And I was picking them off left and right. Okay. So this is my thing. I asked one gentleman, I said, so you mean to tell me that you are, because he was like, oh, well, the Olympic rules is different than the regular law. He got caught with the DUI, but that's the regular law. That doesn't have anything to do with his Olympic performance. PEDs, that impacts your performance. That's cheating. I said, well, no one is disputing that. Again, a lot of people were being willfully ignorant on purpose. This is the fact. This man, and I didn't get racial. Like, let's be clear. This has nothing to do with race, but it also has everything to do with race. But in my arguments with the people online, I'm not even going to bring race into it because we don't even need to go that deep. But let me put it into some perspective, right? This man was given chance after chance after chance, not only with the law, but also with the Olympic Committee. Right? So he has broken laws on several different tiers, multiple times. And here he is with his chest poked out. Oh, I'm a gold medalist. I'm like the most decorated Olympian ever. Sir, let's just take a step back. You and your privilege is the reason why you got so many chances. It is the audacity at the highest level for you to then come out and say other people don't deserve a second chance. Are you kidding me? So the types of drugs that you were doing, those drugs were okay. But the type of drugs that maybe someone else is doing isn't okay. By the way, performance enhancing drugs, again, I am not for people cheating, right? People taking steroids and PEDs, that is a form of cheating. You are cheating. But let's be clear. The Olympic bylaws are very clear that you aren't to do any type of drug. So it doesn't matter if the drug makes you, if it makes you better or if it makes you worse, right? If a drug is an upper or a downer, it doesn't matter the effects of the drugs. You shouldn't be taking drugs at all as an Olympian. That's the point. He was doing drugs as an Olympian. So by his own logic, he should have not been given an opportunity to come back to the Olympics. He should have not been able to come back after his DUI. And yet he was. And yet There were black men in the comments like, but you sound stupid, you sound dumb, you're dense, it's not the same thing. It's like all you guys saw were the words weed and DUI, and it literally just triggered you because the point isn't even about the weed or the DUI. The point is this man got several chances, and now he has the audacity to come out and say, you don't deserve a second chance. I got multiple chances, but you don't deserve an additional chance. You don't deserve any additional chances. And that makes zero sense to me. The hypocrisy of that is crazy. And I'm going to get a little dramatic here. So just follow me because it's going to get dramatic, but I think I need to be dramatic so that people get the point. So this is reminding me of crack versus cocaine in the 90s, right? And again, that's a dramatic comparison, but just follow me. Remember when all of these minorities in these bad neighborhoods, if you got caught with one crack rock, they were giving these people life sentences for like one crack rock. Meanwhile, there were people in nice neighborhoods and affluent people in the community, pilots and CEOs, and you know what I mean? These people were getting caught with keys of cocaine, right? Mountains and mountains of cocaine, okay? Cocaína. And they were getting a slap on the wrist. Didn't we see, what's his name? Tim Allen, right? Tim Allen got busted with like all these drugs and stuff. And then he got let go. And now he's like a famous movie star. He went on to live his life. Why? Because he got a second chance. Imagine someone who got the privilege of a second chance telling you you don't deserve one. And that was my only point. And for whatever reason, like I said, I think people were just being willfully ignorant or purposefully missing the point. But it doesn't make sense that someone with privilege is getting all these chances, and then the audacity of the black men in my comments caping for him. Like, I didn't even go down that rabbit hole, but it was mind-blowing for these black men to be in my comments calling me all time, you're dense, you're stupid, you don't know what you're talking about, you sound ridiculous. You're like, they were going in on me, and everyone that I responded to, they stopped responding to me because I was like, okay, so make it make sense. So if he got caught with drugs and you got caught with drugs, he's going to get a second chance and you're going to go to jail. You don't get a second chance. You don't get a slap on the wrist. That's the reality. So, all right. I wanted to talk about that, but guess what? We got another story. Hold on. Okay, y'all. So the next story that I want to talk about, and I'm not going into the details of the actual case and the shooting and the people they snitching, because let me tell y'all something. All them people dumb. Just real quick. All those people that were participating in Julio Foolio's murder. The one boy had the gun at his house. He had the shell casings in his house. He had apparently the shell casings from last year, October, when Foolio got shot. So apparently he had something to do with that. These guys were using phones. They were in their mom and their girlfriend's cars. Like, they weren't even in steamers, right? Or a stolen car. They were in their regular cars that belonged to family members. License plate readers, 4K with the Tesla cameras. Like, these people were just, they were going to get caught, right? No matter what. But that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother thing. Whatever they doing ain't got nothing to do with nothing. I want to talk about this interview with Julio Foolio's mom, Sharika's. I think that's her name. This was a good interview. Okay. It was from SayCheese. It was a good interview. And, you know, as a mom, she really held it together as far as like her demeanor and how she was, how she made it through the entire interview. I didn't see her get emotional. She was very matter of fact. I just had one issue with the entire interview, something that she said, and it really stuck out to me because I was like, girl, yeah, you do have some ownership and some culpability about what happened with your son. So in the interview, she says that the first time he was shot, he was 14. Now, I don't know if that was 8th grade 14 or freshman in high school 14. What I do know is Foolio did have an interview where he was saying that He got his first gun in 7th grade. So I don't know if he was 12 or 13 in 7th grade or if he was 14 in 7th grade. But either way, 7th, 8th grade, 13, 14 years old, that was a pivotal point in his life because he was shot for the first time and he also got his first gun. The problem I'm having is that the mom says, well, when he got shot, he basically never really came back home after he got shot. And she was like, he was protecting me because he was in the streets and, he didn't want to bring anybody to my house. Now, mind you, this lady was shot later on 8 times. They did shoot her up. So she was, let her tell it. Everybody knows her. She knows all of these, all of the guys involved. Not all the guys involved in his murder, but all of the, the beef, ATK and 1200 and all of them. She knows all of them and like their moms because they are all, they're from Jacksonville. So anyway, the problem I was having was that, ma'am, you mean to tell me when your son was shot at 14 and he didn't come back home, you didn't make him come back home as a 14-year-old? That's wild to me. Now listen, you would be pushing it at 16, right? But I think 16, 17, 18, 19, right? Those are teenage years that, at 16 you can drive, right? I think in some states at 16 you can get married, right? 18, you're technically an adult. So I'm giving you grace if you were to say, okay, at 16, he didn't come back home. But what do you mean at 14? That is literally his second year as a teenager. And you mean to tell me he got shot? That's already a huge red flag. And then when he gets shot, he doesn't come back home because he's protecting you? No, ma'am. Why were you not protecting him? As his mom, why were you not protecting him? At the point when he got shot, listen, not everybody can get up and just move. I understand that, right? We're clear. However, let you tell it. You had your stuff together. You were a hairdresser. You were making money. Why didn't you move? You know what I mean? Like if you're in an environment where your son gets shot and he's actively in the streets and he doesn't come back home because he's quote unquote protecting you, why didn't you step up and protect him and move him away from the chaos that was your neighborhood? Now, what I gathered from this is this woman is known in the neighborhood. She knows everyone. She started out saying that her grandparents or her grandmother raised her and that she never struggled and she had it good growing up. And then she went into how she was struggling and she was trying to keep up with the people at school. So she moved out the house at like 18 or something like that, she said. So my thing is, you wanted to stay in that neighborhood because you liked being there, just like him. He didn't want to leave either. And at one point she was saying like, oh, we were all telling him to leave Jacksonville, move to Atlanta or go to LA, like get out of Jacksonville. And he didn't want to go. Well, the thing is, ma'am, you didn't want to go either. And Sean from SayCheese, he asked her, he said, well, why didn't you move? And she was like, well, he didn't live with me. He had a room, but after he got shot at 14, he basically never really moved back in with me, even though I always had a room for him. The longest that he lived with me after he got shot was about 6 months. And I'm just like, man, as a mom, you failed him. And so for you to say towards the end of the interview, she was saying, I did my part as a mom. I was a good mom. I took care of him. And, sometimes kids be in the streets. That's very true. That's very true. However, there are red flags and there are pivotal moments where things happen. And as a parent, you have to put your foot down. You have to step in. You don't want to. You want them to figure it out. But that's your job as a parent because they don't know any better. There's no way that it is not in like the ultimate red flag that your son was shot at 14 and you didn't do something drastic like send him away or you move away. Like you didn't do anything. And instead you let him leave the house and become quote unquote, he's taking care of himself, living on his own, and he's protecting you at 14. That's so backwards. So, like I said, she seemed like a very strong woman and she seems like she has a good head on the shoulders. She's like a CNA and she's gone to school. What I got out of this interview, it sounds to me, and I'm not judging her, but what I got out of the interview is that she was And I hope no one gets offended by this, but she was selfish. She was a selfish mom. And instead of focusing on the betterment of her children and then getting herself together, she prioritized doing hair. She prioritized knowing everybody in the neighborhood. She prioritized, then she wanted to go back to school. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to balance that with also being a mom. And at 14, you kind of let him have free reign to do whatever it is he wanted to do because you wanted to get your life together. And you can't do that as a parent. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to do both. That's the balancing act of being a parent. You have to take care of yourself and make sure you're good and follow your dreams while being a parent. That's the juggling act. That's the balancing act. It is what it is. And it's my understanding that she has an older daughter. So that's another thing that kind of signaled to me that when he was 14 and in the streets and decided after he got shot he wasn't coming back home, she kind of was like, okay, well, I'm going to live my life. You know, mama got to have a life too. And that's fine. But at 14, absolutely not, Sharika's. Absolutely not. So to say that you didn't have any blame in what ultimately happened to your son, sadly, yeah, you played a part in it because you didn't step in at these why do I keep saying pivotal? At these pivotal moments to derail that activity, to get him back on track. You know, there definitely was a time and a space for that. And unfortunately, she didn't take advantage of that. So it was a really good interview overall. I just didn't like how she was acting like, oh, I'm just such a great mom. And, you know, sometimes kids just be outside. Yeah, sometimes kids be outside. And as a parent, you got to bring them back inside. That's your job. So in any event, those were kind of the two items I wanted to talk about that were like hot button on my mind this week. I'm thinking I might be back this week, and I don't know if I'm going to do a hair video or if I'm going to do a product haul because I literally have both. And I want to give y'all some content, okay? I want to come back and give y'all some content. So I'll see you guys later this week. But in the meantime, in between time, please go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video, okay? My handle is Lauren Finesse and the Lauren Finesse everywhere, okay? Please share this video, get this video out there, and let me know what you guys think. Like, did you guys see the story about Michael Phelps? How do you feel about someone who's really privileged telling other people that, hey, even though I got a second chance, you don't deserve one, right? And did you guys watch this SayCheese interview with Julio Foolio's mom? And are you guys keeping up with the case? Because it's crazy, y'all. If you haven't, I advise you to just take a couple minutes out your day and catch up with the case because these people were so ridiculously outrageous. It reminds me of the duck case where y'all are doing this stuff in a high populated area where they followed your license plate with license plate readers and cameras. In this day and age and technology, let me tell you something. You can't get away with it unless they want you to get away with it. Okay? Let that sizzle in your spirit. You will only get away with it if they want you to get away with it. All right? All right, guys. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.